So welcome everybody to our live instructional webinar designed to support the Memory Book Online Yearbook program. This afternoon, we will be focusing on functions that relate to building activity or candid pages. Specifically, we will be reviewing page bleeds and margins, the toolbar, design functions, templates, some custom templates and themes. This webinar will be approximately about 45 minutes, could go up to an hour. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And like I said, if you do have any errands to run or if you have other appointments, we understand. So we'll get this recording out to you here later this week, or actually probably tomorrow. So first thing that we're going to talk about, a little bit of our page or our layout here. But the first thing that we're going to cover is basically we're going to go over bleeds and margins. Now, when we talk about bleed in printing, what bleed means is just full color that extends beyond the edge of the page. And that way, when your pages go to get trimmed, essentially it's leaving you with no kind of unsightly, paper or white edging that you see there. Now, when looking at a layout here, and I'm going to push this shape out here, this outer gray area right here, and kind of when we put the shape here, we kind of see that it kind of goes and it has a little tint to it. This is the bleed area. Now, this is the area of the page that is estimated to be trimmed off. And again, bleed just means, full color that extends beyond the edge. And this red line here, this is our estimated trim line. So this is where our pages are estimated to be trimmed at. Now there could be up to 1/8 inch of a variance there. So that's why we call it estimated, and why there's that 1/8 inch variance. It's just how those pages are going through production. It's just, how is the actual trimmer, the actual machine, how that's running that day is a factor that could play into it. Could be trim operator, different techniques going through there. Could be a combination of both. So that way that's an estimated line, and there could be just up to a 1/8 inch variance there. But this is where you're going to estimate it is going to be trimmed at. Ideally, the only thing you really want extending out beyond here, and this is our this blue margin, this blue line is our page margin. So this is where you're going to want to keep all of your important images in text within. Now, there's also, when you're building your candid pages, you can actually just take candids and put them all the way out to the edge. Now, when you're looking for pictures that would fit well going out to the edge, there's just some things that you'll want to consider. So if you're building a candid page that is just nothing but pictures, and you have pictures all the way out to the very edge here, there's just some things to kind of consider, and that's the open space in a photo. So we're going to use this photo here for an example. Now, with this photo, it would, as far as an image that would go out to the bleed, this image would work really well going off to the side because there's a whole bunch of open space here. You see no important detail, which is going to be kind of the kids' faces here. They're within the margins. They're safe. So really there's just background space that's getting trimmed here. Same as if we move it to the inside where the image would fall into the gutter, just empty space here. This image would work really well at the bottom of the page. Again, it's kind of non-essential kind of space down to here. Just kind of some shirt and hands, But where this image would not really work out well is if you were just doing a full candid, layout, is moving this one up to the top. So if we put an image like this all the way out to the bleed, you can see that it's cutting through the top of this student's head here. Now, if you take it in consideration, if there's an 1/8 inch variance, I'm going to bring down a guide. So the possibility could take even more off there, which, to some may be okay. we generally kind of don't like, don't suggest kind of putting images, where you have really short space at the top, up to the top bleed there. And that way you just don't risk, cutting into a face, because there's some, if this photo, let's say the crop was even lower on this photo to where maybe you only had that much photo. But if you put them up here, I mean, it may be cutting through most of that, that student's face altogether. So just if you are working on a candid page where you're doing all the images out, just look to see what kind of room, really the images that you want to push out to the edge or have out to, the areas being trimmed or in the gutter, lots of open space. If this had, let's see, I'm gonna bring another photo into that box. So like this photo would work really well going up to the top because you're just taking off some of the playground. But the students within this photo are still mainly, I mean, he's resting on the page margin line. He's really not at risk of being trimmed here. So a photo like this would kind of work well either or. So just something to look at. So again, when it comes to your pages, in terms of bleeds, that's just full color that extends beyond the edge. Ideally, on a lot of other pages, the only thing you really want going out to the bleed is a background. But there are some really nice pages that can be created where, you just fill it full of photos. But if you have one of those pages, just make sure that, the photos you're putting out to the edge, the gutters, or the parts that will be trimmed, don't have anything critical, students' faces, stuff like that. All right. So I'm going to clear this off here. I'm going to zoom in on my browser a little bit, and then we're going to go through and just kind of give you a rundown of the tools that you'll be working with here in the Page Designer. So we have our standard, file, edit, and view, and arrange. These are our four main menus here. Under File, you're going to have your basic save as template. It's where you can save your page as a layout to take to another page. We'll cover more on that a little bit. Your save button is also a quick action that's here on the top toolbar, and that's this old 3.5 floppy icon here. Coming down the list, we have save as practice page and new practice page. So this is if you were save as practice page, if you were playing something on one of your pages and you're like, I kind of want to practice on that more, kind of play with some ideas that I'm not really, sure I want to settle on, or, maybe I'm not quite sure I want this in the book. Practice pages are a good way to kind of play with those ideas. And you can also kind of retrieve them later and place back on your pages. Page info, this is just basically, kind of what's going, is it assigned to anybody, when's the last, it will show information on when it was last edited, give you a status color. So this right now, this is being in yellow. This means that it's in progress there. And you can also kind of complete pages there as well. Going back under here, we have view PDF. This is where you can view your page as like a PDF proof. So you'll use kind of this more closer to the end that you can use for review. This is also a quick option. It's a little printer icon here. When you hover over this, it'll say preview page. And the other kind of, go down here to download. This is kind of almost like generating a PDF, but here's if you want something even smaller, you can download that spread or page as a JPEG image, tack that onto an email for review or anything like that. Moving over to the next menu, we have our undo and redo. This is also a quick option on the toolbar here. We then have our cut, copy, paste, and delete. Now, if you're familiar with keyboard shortcuts, Control X for cut, Control C for copy, Control V as in Victor for paste. Now, if you're on a Mac or an Apple, Basically, this is going to be Command X, Command C, Command V. We also have the change background menu that is here. If I click on that, I'll bring up this. It looks really huge because I'm zoomed in here. We're going to touch more on this a little bit later in this webinar. But this change background menu is going to be, where we can change out backgrounds and kind of play with the background options that we have. Text options under edit, we have find and replace. If you need to find and if you have misspelled a certain word throughout the book, then you can kind of use that to kind of change stuff up or correct things. We do have spell check under spelling. Now with this spell check, it's not a whole program wide search. It's basically page by page or page spread, I should say. So it's only going to check that page or page spread that you're currently on. And also one thing about the spelling, it's not as robust as you would see like in something like Microsoft Word. So it's checking for misspelled words, but what it is not going to check for is like grammar, or if you put in like a let's just say it's a misspelled word that's spelled correctly, because sometimes that can happen, where you totally kind of write a word, you misspell it, but it's still just a different word. It's not going to pick up on that. So use spell check for review, but when it gets time to actually, to help you with reviewing, but when it gets time to, before you actually do your reviewing, it's always good to have another set of eyes on your yearbook to kind of read any of that text, just to kind of help you catch if there is any misspelling errors or that. Also under edit, we have our select options, to where, if you're needing to work on multiple items on a page at one time. So, we have our select all. It's going to capture everything. Images, this is going to, if you hit this, it's going to, any photos or photo boxes on the page, it's going to grab all those at once. Same, text boxes, it's going to grab all the text boxes, shapes. If there's anything incomplete on a page, and by incomplete, that just means empty photo box or unedited text box, that's a good way to click this and find out where those are on the page or page spread. If you have anything locked, or you want to see if there's anything locked or how many items are locked, because you can, your pages can stay unlocked, but you can actually lock individual elements on a page just so they stay in place. Also, if you're have used a particular color in the palette, you select find that color. Same here of kind of font. Under the view menu, we have hide rulers and hide page margin. I would basically leave these on because you're always going to need the rulers, and having the page mover or page margin always on, it's just going to keep showing you where to keep your items, your images and text safe. Grids and guides. So hide grid lines, they're usually automatically on. You can hide them from this menu. Now, if we're in the bottom right corner of the designer, you'll have a little 2-button toggle here. This little, the bottom button of it, that has little hash marks. If you click on this will toggle on and off the margins as well. Not the margins, but the grids, sorry. Then we have guides, hide guides, lock guides, clear guides. Guides can be brought down on the page, kind of like I showed earlier. Just if you click and hold in the rulers, you can bring down guidelines. And these can help with spacing and alignment on your pages. Now, if you have them just in place, because they're selectable, so even while they're on your page, you can still move these around. So if you get them set, set position, and you don't want them moving around, or while you're grabbing photos, you don't want to accidentally grab one of the guides and move it around as well. Just make sure you can lock those in place, lock those guides, toggle them on and off if you want to hide them for a little bit. If you're done with those guides, you don't need any of them anymore. You can clear them all. You could clear just your row guides, or you could clear your column guides that are there. I'm going to go ahead and just clear all. And let's see. Let me bring everything down just a little bit here. Bring my page up. And here, I'm going to need to add some shapes to the page here real quick. And give these some different colors here so we can see what we're working on. Okay. Now, under Arrange, the Arrange menu, again, you can lock or unlock items. There is also, on the toolbar that pops up above the page, they also have a lock icon here to lock an item as well. So you can lock it in place. You can grab it. I can't, if it's locked in place, can't move it until you unlock it there. Now there's group and ungroup. So if you need to group something together, so I just kind of clicked and held and drug a selection box and grabbed all three. So I can group those together. From this menu, I can do group or ungroup, once they are grouped. These two options are also quick actions on the toolbar that pops up. So we can group those together. You'll see little dashed items along. So anytime that you see, depending on certain templates that you bring onto the page, you see the little dashed lines. That's just going to let you know that those items are grouped together. If you then need to work on them individually, you can go back up under Arrange and do Ungroup, or you can come over here and just, the quick action and hit Ungroup to where you have those back individual elements again. Now, also under Arrange, we're going to have our alignment options. So I'm going to put that one out of place. I'll bring this one kind of halfway there. I'm going to select all three. So let's say I kind of want to do, in this thing, I'm going to align the tops of them. So if I go under Arrange, this is where we get to our vertical options, top, middle, or bottom. Now there's also, now align vertically, the top, middle, bottom is going to be great for your rows. Align horizontally, where I have left, center, and right. This would be more for columns, items that are in columns. So I'll show both of those here. So in this one, you can also get to the arrange options from this drop down. So it's kind of one of those, once these are highlighted, that's when this toolbar shows up. We have our arrange options here as well. This menu that pops down, it starts pinned in place, but if you click the little pin, you can then move this menu around. And this is kind of the same with some of the other menus in the program. If you can unpin them, you can move them around. That way, if it's, if you're doing any actions that you're kind of doing consistently over, if you're aligning it, that way you can unpin it, move it to where you need it, and that way it just stays up and you can keep working with it. So in this example right here, we have our left, center, middle. Again, those are for columns. Top, middle, and bottom are for rows. So if I'm just going to align the tops here, you see it just pulls everything to the top. Here, let me bring that kind of down. If I selected them again and did middle, it'd bring it centered everything to the middle item there. And bottom would be pulling everything down to the bottom area here. So I'll bring this over a little bit. Again, I'm just going to highlight these. So if I do align left, it's going to pull everything to this, being the furthest most left object. It's going to align it to that, to the left side of that. If I did align right, it's going to pull everything to this circle here, to its furthest right side. And for center, it's going to bring all those to the center part of where all three of those would meet. So those those are the arrangement or the alignment tools here. Now also under this arrange menu, we have arrange, we have our bring to front, bring forward, send it back, send backward. So also under this arrange menu, so what you can kind of do with these, you know, we can bring something to the front, and this is really how you can work with your overlapping and kind of work with that. So if you want to play, bring, you know, maybe I want this corner behind. So here I can either send it to the very back, or maybe I just want to go back one step there. So if you've got, so where this really comes, you know, best in play is one of those candid pages I was talking about, where if you just throw a whole bunch of photos onto a page and you're trying to arrange them like that, the arrangement tools come in quite handy. That way, you know, maybe I want to tuck the corner of this photo behind this photo, or bring this one forward. You know, other movements like that, the arrangement tools are definitely going to help there. Also under here, we do have mirror. Basically, that just sent that to the other page there. So you might kind of be careful of some of those options from time to time, just to make sure you don't lose anything. And again, that's that one. Let's see. Oh, I still have it up. Okay. So here we do still have our, you know, flip horizontal. I guess it works on photos and that. You can also rotate items here. Also about talking about rotating items on a page, whether it's photo, text box, shapes. If you have an item or element selected on page, this little box that shoots up from the top, that's our little rotation square here. We can move that in any direction that we want. Now if I go back under arrange, you'll then see transform. Here again, here's where you have your flip, rotate left, and that. There are another section of transform is under this drop down over here. So if I click transform here, here's where you can get more in depth. This is where you can really get kind of nitty gritty on the positioning, the size, or just if you really put the really nice touch on your rotation, you know, it's like, I need it to be one more degree. Now, if you click the drop down, it has standard, you know, 0, 45, 90. But if you want to fine tune it, you are actually able to, you know, put a cursor in here and put in a specific amount. You know, let's say if you just want to change it 1 degree, then, you know, if I just hit up here now at this point, just barely move it in little increments. So just want to touch over some rotation, because those you can make some really neat candid pages. You know, rotate your photos, give it, you know, kind of give it a different look there. All right, so there we go. We just went over our top row of menus here, just mainly the main tools that you'll be working with. I'm going to zoom back out here to where everything kind of looks normal. And I'm going to fit to page. So again, across the top all the way over to this side, we have our page navigation. So you got next page, previous page. You want to go to the last page. Now you can also navigate to your pages. If we're looking at the tabs that run vertically along the left, we have our pages tab. Here, this is where, you know, you can, if you click on the pages tab, this will give you a look that's much like the page ladder as well. It's just a quick way to access your other pages. If you hover over these, it does shoot out a little preview of what that is, so you give a better look of, oh yeah, it's that page. And then you can kind of go on. It's like, well, did I want that page, or did I want, oh, here's the page I want. So that's kind of nice. And that's a new add-in to this year. Something that's really going to help, because sometimes people are unsure of, you know, well, what it is. Oh, okay, now I see what it is. So that's another way to navigate. Need to zoom in and zoom out on a page to kind of, if you're working on smaller areas or need to kind of fine tune something and you don't really want to put the eye strain in, you know, you can use the percentages to zoom. You also have just little plus and minuses over here. to really get in there. Now 500% is probably too much there. So I'm just going to go back to fit. So that way I have this whole spread in. All right. So from here, gone through the tools. Well, let's look at templates. Because like I said, you can just start a page or a design page by dragging stuff on individually. From your images tab, you can just drag and drop. You can size your images exactly how you want them to be. If you wanted to add just text to a page, maybe you just want to throw a few photos on here, give it a simple text box. So I'm going to go under the text tab. You'll see that under the text tab, there's different, and this is what we call styles. Now the styles, I'm just going to bring a few over. Now, anytime you bring a style to a page, basically you're adding a text box. Now, a style is just how that text box starts. And really, that's just how it starts, because once it's on a page, as you see here, as I select this one, we got our text editing options that show up above the page. And now this bar right here that pops up, this is what we call a contextual toolbar. This will pop up depending on, it'll change its options depending on what element you have selected on a page. So if you have text box selected, you'll have different text editing options. If you have a photo selected, you're going to see different text editing options that show up here. And like I said, once it's on a page, that's just how it starts. It's not anything set in stone. Once it's on here, you can go through, make it as large as you want. If you've added fonts to your collection, you can then, change it to whatever that's, your preferred font for that headline or text box or caption or whatever you need that to be. And then under the art tab, this is where, you could go under shapes if you want to use some certain shapes for accenting, changing their color and kind of using those as part of the design. Don't like the color there. I'll just go green for a second. But yeah, you can just build a page by bringing over elements individually and working it that way. Now, some do fine with that. Some do have a hard time with that. So from there, one of the easiest ways to start or build a page is actually by using one of our templates that we already have in the program. For templates, we're going to go under the Designs tab here. We're then under the drop-down menu, we're going to go under Custom, and we're actually not at Custom, I'm sorry. We're going to go under Page Surfer. And under Page Surfer, we have about 6 categories here that all have candid and activity templates that are here. Under candids, these are our most basic templates that are here. Some are just photo boxes and maybe have a heading. Some are even just photo boxes. I'll just bring one of these to a page. So you can have something very basic, step onto a page. And a lot of these under candids are just the simple, very simple candid layouts that you have here. I'll just kind of wheel through some of these, kind of show you what those look like. So really good, quick and easy. They just have like a headline spot. If I go back under candids, like I said, there's ones for clubs and organizations, openings and dividers, sports, student life and academics. A lot of these have a lot of neat designs in them. So, if you see something, definitely encourage everyone to go through these, check these out. Bring over this. Now you'll notice when I bring a template over, you will get a retain existing content message. When you get that, now if it's most cases you're going to hit no, and what hitting no will do is it completely overwrites the design that is there and just kind of replaces it with the one that you're doing, putting on there. So here's kind of a sports layout. list of facts, stats, team stats. Some of these are really neat. Kind of bring these over. So it's definitely a lot in here to work with that we have. Now, for today, I'm just going to go back under to just the regular ones. And I'm going to find a really basic one because we're going to take one of our default ones and just make it one of our own custom that we want. Let's see. I think I'm going to start here. I'm just going to bring over a simple one here. Okay, so I've just started with a basic layout that we have here. Now, when you bring a template over, there is no part of a template that is set in stone. Anything about our templates can be modified, so you can definitely quickly kind of customize these to your own liking. I'm going to take out actually the top row here because let's say I want to put my own heading here. A couple ways I can go about that. I can go back to the text tab, bring over a headline, kind of do it that way. Let's say that I want maybe these boxes just a little bit bigger. You can adjust those. Maybe some room for some clip art or something like that. Now I'm going to take this out here because some other options that we do have is if we go back under designs and go back under here, we do have a little section called click and go. Now, click and go templates, they're not full page templates like we have with some of these. Click and goes are smaller groupings that are kind of pieced together that can be used to fill in spots just like this. Under click and go, there's all sorts of different little groupings here that can be added in. In our example today, I'm just going to go under headline. So there's different headline options that we have here. I'm just going to bring one over, drop it in so you could have something like that as your heading. Lots of different ones that are here to kind of fill in that space. Excuse me. All right, let me just pick one here. And now something that's kind of neat here if this open space is on creating our own template. Let's say I want to add a few more photo boxes into this area. I can go under the art tab and I can go under image frame. Under image frame, this is where we're going to see different boxes that we can add in. Bring in a small circle. And it looks like our circle is a little big. I might want to resize that down. So the best way to resize that down and keep it proportionate is you're going to hold down your control key. Actually, sorry, let me undo that. It is the shift key, sorry. So I'm going to hold down the shift key here. And let's just say I'm going to do a box there. And you know what? I'm going to copy that here. Copy, paste. And remember, you can also do keyboard shortcuts for copy and paste. So Control C to copy, Control V to paste. When you're copying and pasting, that pasted copy does go over top. So you just kind of slide it over. Done. And let's say I'm going to turn the grids back on here. You use the grids to bring those out. Okay. And I'm going to highlight those real quick. I can go back under arrange. I'm going to align those to the bottom. And now another thing I'm noticing is that these boxes in the other template, they have a small little border that's around them. This little small border here is what is called a stroke. And I kind of want to apply that to these boxes as well. So I'm going to highlight all these. And I'll tell you what, let me zoom in on the menus just a little. Kind of zoom in here a little bit. Let me highlight those. Okay, so with those highlighted, maybe I want to add that same little simple border that was there. I'm going to be looking right here at these three kind of controls right here. So under stroke size, you start at 0. And from here, now when you're looking at stroke size, the higher the point number, the thicker that stroke will be. I'm just going to start with 2. Anytime you click on an element, it's going to tell you that has a stroke. It's going to tell you what the size is. So it looks like I matched it right on the first try there. If I select this back, if we go under color, here's where I could also change that stroke style or change the stroke color to a different color over there. But for this one, we're just going to keep this here. Bring those up a little bit. Now on our click and go heading that is here, again, notice how that was kind of, if I zoom in here a little bit, we'll notice that we do have little dash lines that are here. Now with click and go templates, before you can edit them, what you'll have to do, because if you click here, you'll notice you can't do anything. I'm not able to do anything with this at the moment. So in order to edit these words, what I'll first have to do is ungroup it. Now, once this is ungrouped, then I could work with this text box. Let's say I don't need this text box. I can go ahead and take it away. That gives me a little bit more room here. Bring those up a little bit. Put my headings in there. This could be, what my first day of school or, any kind of thing, just candids or anything. This shape right here, now that I select it, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and change its color to any other color here in the palette. Anything like that. Maybe I want to change this one. Let's change it to, nope. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to zoom back in because I've done that little bit of changes. So here we go. We've just taken one of our templates, kind of edited out that top part, because this, I think it's kind of a part of this template too. Okay, so let's say that this is your custom template, and let's say that you have something set up. Like, you know what? I like what I've done here. I want to take this to a few other pages. Okay, so if you have or modified one of our templates, you want to use that somewhere else. If you go up to File, you can do Save as Template. You'll get a little prompt here. You're going to enter a template name. And you can name it whichever you want. I'm just going to put this under today's date. Then you get to select the page that you want. So if you've done the whole thing, you can do both pages. You want to take that to other spreads. Or if you just want, just the page you're working on here. So I just did the left page. And I'm just going to just save that one. And I'm going to hit save. Now, when you save your own templates, and you want to get to those to then drop on the other pages you want to put that on, you're going to go back under Designs. And from the drop down, this time we're going to go under Custom, and we're going to look under My Templates. And here's our template that we just created today. I'm going to take it, and I'm just going to drag and drop it over. Now, one thing you will notice if you create a template on a left-hand page and then take it over to a right, it's going to flip and mirror it. So in a lot of cases, that's going to be okay with some. Now, if you're wanting a non-mirrored look, What you may have to do is actually set yourself up a left side and then individually set up a right side. Now, another way you can do that is I'm going to save my changes real quick. I'm going to go back under the view menu. And at the bottom of the view menu, you'll have facing pages, and that's when you have the spread showing. Or if you just want to work on a single page, we do single page. Okay, so I'm on the left. I'm going to come over to the right. Now here, I'm going to go back under arrange. I'm going to go to mirror, and I'll go vertically. Oh, did not want that one. Put that back. We want horizontally. So don't feel afraid if you make a mistake in here. There's always undo. You can always put things back. It's all part of the learning process here. So time to time, as many times as I've done this webinar, I will click on the wrong thing, but it's good. It's good to learn from. Learn from my mistakes. So we'll go to mirror horizontally, and now we got everything kind of shifted back, kind of like that. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to go back to view. Now I'm going to go back to there. So for the most part, our top held here. Now this kind of did shove everything kind of more to the outside. So we can kind of capture that. Now all I'm doing now is just using my arrows on my keyboard. And I think I missed that box right there. There we go. Now I got everything, I can move it in. So, after some tweaking, now that you've got, kind of a same right side, you could do a file, save as template. And I'm just going to do the right and hit save. All right. So from here, you can go to images. This is where you can start, dragging and dropping them, putting your images in. So if you drop it in, so when you bring a photo over a photo box, if it goes green, you're good. Let me find one. I know I've got one that is super small here. Nope. There we go. So if it goes red, that means that photo is not large enough to fill that spot. Now, if you let go of the image, it'll still place on a page, but it will not. It's basically it's in its own separate photo box now. It's not part of this one. The program will just go ahead, create an image frame for it, and drop it in. Now, if we go to expand this image, you can't stretch it anymore. You will get a message, image has reached maximum size for print quality. Our program is not going to allow you to expand or enlarge an image beyond its actual size. It's actually going to keep it at its actual kind of pixel dimensions that it is. So if you have images like this, it's good to work them into smaller spots. You might have another page it could work best on. It may be even you go back to whoever sent that photo and see if they could send you a larger or a higher resolution copy. So larger the better, because the higher a pixel count, the higher the pixels on an image, potentially the larger it can be on a page. All right, so that's dropping in photos, text. If you want to take one of these out, like I said, back to the text tab, add in a text box, size it, start working with text. You could do that. I'm going to zoom in on that text box there. All right. Now, if working with text, I can make that font larger here. Now, with text boxes, you can change your font, your size, change the color, different attributes. If the font, Some fonts may or may not have all of the attributes, such as bold, italic, and underline. Now, working with the text box, let's say the text color or the whole box in general. Let me bring down the color menu here real quick. I'm going to unpin that. Okay. So when you first bring it down, it is set on the text fill color. Now, text fill is what your text is going to be. So purple, could be orange, any color that is there. Text stroke now, and actually I'm going to go back to text fill. I'm going to change that to maybe a lighter color here. Now, text stroke is going to basically be an outline that's around the letter to give it a neat look like this. Now, if you want to work with the box in general, let's say you want to give the box a fill, you can then go to Shape, Shape Fill. We can fill in that shape, and Shape Stroke is just putting a stroke around the whole box. So definitely, 4 kind of important options that are here just under one menu and alone. So again, text fill is covering, the actual main color. Oop, make sure I have the right thing selected here. The main color of your font. Stroke is if you want to add a simple outline around your font. Shape fill is dealing with the actual color within the text box. And shape stroke is doing the outline of the box itself. So go ahead and bring that. Let's go ahead and hit fit. All right. So we've gone through and we've gone, under our menus, we've gone under our tabs, how to kind of take one of our templates and, drop your photos, kind of work with the text, even making one of ours. So one of the last things we'll kind of touch on is kind of some theme art or backgrounds that you want to put in here. I'm going to take some of this out just to kind of show and display some of these a little bit. Actually, I'm going to leave some of these in here. All right, that way just kind of have some room so you can kind of see some of the backgrounds that I'm going to bring on. So when it comes to, let's say you want to add backgrounds to a page, a few different ways you can do this. If you go under the Art tab, there's a background option here. Under this houses all of the generic backgrounds that are in the program. They can lend themselves to anything or any kind of theme that you're working with there. There is, as I scroll through, there is a lot here. In order to use any of these, just drag and drop them over and they will go ahead and fill out the page. So drag and drop. Now these are the only backgrounds in the program that will do this. Just these are programmed just to, when you bring them over, these are programmed to automatically fill out the page that's there. Now, if some other options, now let's say that you either want to do, what if you chose one of our covers and you want to use some of the, if it has theme art that goes along with it, well, how do you apply that? And well, at the same time, what if you just want a solid color background? Well, here's where we're going to go back to our edit menu and we're going to bring up the change background menu. Let's put it here. Okay, so on change background, we got our left page, right page that lets you know which side you're working on there. So on the left page here, let's say I want to get rid of this because on a page you can't, you can select an element and just hit delete and get rid of it. When you add a background to a page, the only way you can remove it is by using this menu. So I just have the left page selected. I can come down here. I'm going to click remove background. Takes it right out. Right under the page, left and right page buttons, we have background color. So this is in case you want to, or just if you want to do solid color backgrounds. So plenty of choices here in the palette. Lots and lots of solid colors to choose from. A lot of times they work kind of nice on, if you have something going on this side, maybe you just want to fill the other side in with, just a solid color. Definitely make use of that. Now, if you were using, let's say you wanted to do one of our theme art, here's where we're going to use the Choose Image button. So I'm going to click Choose Image. And let me kind of get back under all this here. Now, when you're under this, you have a drop down. You'll want to go under Clip Art. And then you're going to want to go under By Cover. And under By Cover, this is where our theme art is. Now, one of the more popular ones or popular covers we've had over the years is Branching Out. I'm just going to select it. So while we have these images up, these folders also contain little pieces of clip art. So that way, if it's something that's not large enough to become a background, that's why you're going to see a red box around it, like the headings and some of the other pieces of clip art. But if we scroll on down here, we'll then start seeing the backgrounds for these pages. So if we see a background that we like, we'll select it. And I think I'm too far in. Here, let me close this real quick. I think I'm zoomed in too far for that. I hit choose there. Yeah, I was zoomed in too far. I didn't have my select button here. Okay, so I'll select a background, hit select, and it'll apply that to the page. And I'll grab the other side of that one too. Oh, here I need to close that. I need to go to right page, hit choose image. And now once you're under a certain theme, you'll stay under that theme until you, unless you change out to go to a different one. So it makes that kind of easy as you're going through your pages. There's not in all, you can't just select one and it applies it to all the pages. Backgrounds will have to be put on page by page. So I'll select that just to get to the other side there. Now, a lot of times having the grid lines on will make it look like it has this kind of hatched look there. It's non-printing, so that's not actually how that's going to look. So you can actually toggle those off just to kind of see what that'll actually look like there. Oop. The wrong thing there. There we go. I'm just turning those back on. So here, yeah, just make sure you're under the page that you want. Again, choose image. We're going to be under clip art, and for our cover theme art, we're going to go under by cover. Now, as you're working with some of these, feel free. You're not set in stone. Like, you may choose branching out as your cover, but you're not locked into just using those backgrounds. Feel free to, explore the other categories that are here. There's all sorts of different backgrounds that can lend themselves to many, many, many other covers. So please feel free, explore, find stuff. Never know what you can find in some of this that would lend itself to your yearbook. Please show how to get. Okay, I was seeing one of the comments here. I was trying to fit in here. Okay, so again, to getting to the cover theme art or the backgrounds, from the change background menu, just go to choose image. I'm gonna wheel back up here because you're gonna go under clip art, by cover, and then choose any one of these that are here. See a background that you like, hit select or select it and then hit select. And there you go. All right. See, I've got a few minutes before 4, and I've kind of wrapped through on, oh, Good question there. Just again, how do you get to this change background menu? Go under edit, and it's right here. It's under your edit menu and change background. Another way you can get that pull up is just if you're on a page, right click on the page. You also have your cut, copy, paste, delete, lock, unlock. That change background will be here as well. So either go to the edit menu or right click on the page and get to change background. So no problem. So that kind of wraps up on everything that we were going to cover today. Do have like a few minutes before 4, so if there's any other questions on the content we've covered today, you want to throw those into the chat real quick. I can try to address those before we have to go. But yeah, hopefully everything we've kind of done here today kind of get you going on Candid pages. Definitely, make use of the templates that are in there. Again, the templates can be modified to your own liking. You can change the shapes on them. Oh, that's another thing I'll show you just real quick. I'm just going to bring back over a generic template. Page server, candids. All right, so all of our boxes usually start out as square. If you do select one, let's say that maybe you want to change just the top row or something to circles or that, you can go under edit, and when you have certain things selected, then this change shape button will come up for those boxes. Then you can make them circle, diamond, all the way down to parallelogram there. So I just want to point that out real quick. You're not stuck in squares. Feel free to change up your shapes that you have there. Again, these templates are customizable, so feel free, take something that is ours and change it into something that you may like better. So didn't see anything else kind of pop in, so I am going to probably say that we're good on time. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. So thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. These demonstrations of the functions, related to the creation of activity pages may help when it comes time to build your yearbook. Using the templates already in the program and building your own templates should save you some time and give your book continuity. So again, thank you very much. If you have any kind of questions down the road, need help down the road while building your book, please feel free, give us a call, 1-877-302-3140. We can also, if it's not anything critical or anything like that, or maybe it's after hours or over the weekend, you got a question in your head, and we can be reached, if you want to get an email to us, we're at memorybooktechsupport@jostens.com. So thank you, everybody. You have a great rest of your afternoon.